Here's a starter for a 2014 Chevy Silverado 1500. The truck wasn't starting, so went and got one of these brand new starters and was looking to put it in on this starter. Here's a connector for the start wire to engage the solenoid starter, and then here's where you bring in your battery voltage, high capacity current coming in on that starter. I wanted to show you inside of the fuse panel here, fuse block. Over here, fuse 11 is a 40 amp fuse, and relay 68 is the starter relay, which those happen to be down here. So when I was first debugging this, what I did is made sure that the fuse was okay, measured the voltage on there. There was 12 volts after I pulled the fuse out. That all looked good. I pulled this relay out here, and if you look underneath, there is connector 30 and 87. So that would be on the top right and the bottom left corner. That's where the heavy duty current flows, and then the other pins, that's at 86 and 85, that's controlled by the engine control module. So once again, if you look, you'll see on the top left, that's let's see, I think that was yeah, that's connector 30. That should always have 12 volts on it. So I measured that, and it did. And then what I did is I pulled the relay out, and I took a little jumper wire, went from 30 to was it 85 or 87. And when you do that, it's acting like the relay's turned on, and that should actually start the starter. In my case, it did not start the starter. So at that point, we went over to the wheel well on the passenger side and started taking some pieces off over there. We got in here and went around the wheel well and took a bunch of screws out of there, and took off this big wheel well plastic piece there. But then it allowed us to get back in there, and that's kind of where the starter is. And there's a shield on the starter wire coming from the fuse box. That connector, what we did is we applied 12 volts right down there on the starter solenoid, and the starter cranked over. So then we measured the continuity from the wire plugging in there over to the fuse box. That also measured good. So we put the wire back into the starter, and it now starts the vehicle. So there must have been a little bit of non-connectivity when that connector was maybe coming loose a little bit, or the tolerances weren't connecting too nicely, but it's probably loosening up. So we put a tie wrap to hold that wire to the connector there and put it back with the heat protection on it, and we're going to run that now, and I think that fixed our problem. So I wanted to show you one other thing that we used in this debug process that you can use if you have one of these scanners. Okay, so this is a scanner that I bought. I think it's a Launch 431. Anyway, I went to the starter relay actuation menu, and if you come down here and you have your key in the run position, on the bottom there's a orange button. If you push that on button, it will start the starter for you, and I believe it times out, and it shuts the relay off eventually. So this is kind of an interesting handheld unit that I got a while ago that is kind of handy for turning on and actuating loads in your vehicle. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Please like, share, and subscribe.